This might be sort of an unusual video. I haven't felt good all week, but here we go. Hey YouTube, this is Peck Tech, and I promise this is the fish video. It's been a rough week. I had some kind of weird sinus thing going for like 3 or 4 days. Haven't been able to sleep well and really just haven't felt good at all. Normally, in a weekly video, I'll have it shot and I'll be editing it by Thursday. And right now it's 12:20 on a Saturday, and I'm not absolutely certain where this video is going to end. I know it's strange me shooting in my car all the time. It seems like I'm doing that a lot lately, but I'm in this car a lot. So it only makes sense to like take advantage of some of those in between times and get some stuff filmed versus trying to set up something at the house and maybe get it done and maybe not. When I think of what I want to say, I just want to say it. If you'd like to catch up and meet me live, I'll be at the Big Fish Deal this next weekend. I'm hoping they'll feel better. I've just gotten my pre-convention haircut. I always try to get a little bit cleaned up before I go, out into public. Now my second stop is going to be to the aquarium store. We're going to go by there, and I'm going to look at some rocks. I haven't been feeling good, so I don't want to do a major project. But so that tank I got that I've been calling the Into the Woods tank, even though now it has no woods whatsoever, I think I'd like to alter that a little bit. I pulled out all the trees because I was fighting some algae. It was collecting all over those things, and I wanted to make sure that I didn't have too much stuff degrading all at once, just so the plants couldn't keep up with like the uptake of the nutrients. So I had some hair algae going on. I've had that before. It'll come and then it just all disappears one day. It's not usually a big deal, but you got to kind of isolate the thing that's making it bad or the thing that fixes it. But in doing that, I pulled out all those trees, and I guess I kind of decided that what I wanted to do was save all the plants. I want to get the algae gone, kind of get them all growing really well, and use that as a farm to start the next tank. Trouble is, I'm getting sick of looking at it without the trees and stuff in it. It's just kind of boring. So I'm going to add some rocks to the back, which in itself would be a just absolutely terrible video. We're going to talk about some other things too. I'm going to repack my filter more in the Pond Guru way. I got some more Biohome Ultimate in the mail, so I can really just do the whole filter. But the next stop is to go to the aquarium, and we're doing that now to look for some rocks. Pretty much every project, large or small, starts with a trip here to my favorite store. Alright, so the first thing you do when you get some rocks home is you're going to want to rinse them off. And I'm just going to rinse them off under the sink. Throwing this in there to catch any debris so I don't have little rocks going around inside my sink. Plumbing. Just going to put it on cold water. It steams up. And just give them a little rinse. Not a lot of stuff coming off these at all, which is good. It's unlike Dragonstone, which is like has a lot of mud in it, and it can significantly change. This doesn't look like it's changing a whole lot. It's a good wet. But even if there's not a lot of stuff, this is worthwhile. If nothing else, you're knocking off dust and other things that I've collected on these as they've been stored together and rubbed around on each other and other rocks. So it's never a bad idea just to give them a quick rinse. So it'll just be less stuff that goes in your tank later. I'm not sure how many of these I'm going to use either. I just kind of got a selection of them. Alright, so what I'd like to do, if you see these little spots kind of like right here, I want to add some rocks. This is where trees were previously, and the Monte Carlo is slowly making its way across through here. But what I'd like to do is just kind of add some rocks. I'll probably take the TARDIS out. And I'm just going to add some rocks just to kind of give some hardscape height to this scape, kind of all across the back. And I'll have these plants here kind of growing out from behind them and stuff like that. That way I can just kind of keep replanting them and they'll eventually make a bush. I'm just hoping they'll add some interest to this tank, make it a little bit more three-dimensional looking and, you know, a little bit more realistic. I'm going to start sort of towards the middle, work my way across here. I'm going to try not to place them all kind of like all in a row either. Stash you back here. Probably could have got a few more of these. This will be okay for now. Just something to kind of break things up a little bit, add some interest in there. Actually kind of looks better as having it as one element, sort of all together, but not really. That looks pretty good. Then I guess for fun, pop the TARDIS back in. Let it continue to be a home for shrimp and fishes. The plan for these little plants on the side has always been to sort of make a little wall, and what I'm doing is I'm cutting these in half and thereby doubling what I've got there. They're going to be kind of short for this video, but hopefully if you tune in for an update a little ways down the road, these will have all grown in. I do have CO2 going in here, so I'm hoping it'll happen pretty quick, but hopefully what will happen is these will all grow in and it'll have a nice different sort of texture that I had before. And it'll be nice and thick too. So it'll really cover this corner here. And sort of replace my trees with, you know, some different textured plants and stuff like that. I'm also taking this opportunity to get in there and grab a little bit more algae out. I'm still having to do that on a semi-regular basis, but I've definitely been there before and overcome it, so I'm optimistic that I'll be able to get past all this algae problem. I stuck this little tube, this little ceramic set of tubes in there for the peacock gudgeons. They like to breed in tubes like that, and I've seen them hanging out in there. So that's kind of in there just to make them happy. Alright, there we go. It's still not perfect. When these plants really start to grow up and kind of take up some of this empty space at the top, especially with this frosted background, now that there's no trees and I don't have a lot, I used to have a ton of floating plants. Now I just have a few, because of the canister filter sort of pushes them all over to the corner. They're gradually making their way around. Well, I've got the frog bit, and over here, like actually growing on the filter, this hydrocotyl. I actually had some pothos shoved in there too. But yeah, A lot of stuff going on up here, but because before the trees were holding this stuff in the back, and it really made a nice shade, so you could see that green color kind of coming through. I'm probably going to add the Current USA light back to this. It was kind of fun to use those in conjunction. The Current USA one was a little bit shorter, so I could take this Phoenix light and kind of push it towards the front, and then the Current one fit between the corner filter and here really good. And then the backlight for it was really great too. And I could kind of extend the day a little bit, like do this a little bit less, and then have that kind of do its little morning and afternoon light cycle and really take the light up and down. So I've got some more playing to do with this. Just trying to tweak it, get it to where it's an optimal shape. And I'm not unhappy with it the way it is now. I really like it for it to jungle out a bit. I love to get these to grow really well. I've had trouble getting them to grow, even with CO2. Might try to dose some additives or something to it to kind of help out in here. But these have been growing pretty well. But once these start to grow up and thicken up, and what I will do is I'll keep cutting them in half and cutting in half and doubling them up until I've got a nice little wall of these plants all the way around the side. And that'll kind of box things in, give it a little bit of claustrophobia, just kind of make a scene, because what I really want to do is kind of set a stage right here in the front for all these beautiful little fish. Okay. We'll take a look inside real quick. So that's the media that it came with. I'm going to need another bucket. Just going to put you over here. Let's see what we got going in here. It's like nothing. I threw some seasoned stuff in there and basically left it empty with this pad in there. And in the bottom, and then the bottom I put carbon in there. So yeah, for the most part completely wrong. Alright, so when this came it had these little polishing pads in each one. I'm just going to pull these out. They don't look to be in terrible shape, but I don't think I need them. Alright, so if you saw the Aqua Shopper video, you know I bought some Biohome. It's like a little small container of it. It's really not a lot. Probably enough for one tray. It's okay. But I went for the same price. I got this bag of it, which could do the whole filter. I'm not going to do it though. I'm not going to change all of it. I'm going to leave the ceramic that I had in there. I'm going to leave that in there for now. Ooh, I'm spilling all over the carpet. I'm going to leave this in here for now just to help season the rest of it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take it, put it towards the bottom. Now looking at the bottom here, I see a little bit of debris, but really not much at all. This is actually one of the cleaner canister filters I've ever opened, and I've had this basically running with nothing in it. You know, I haven't cleaned it at all since I set it up, and you can go back and look at the date on that video if you're wondering. But what that tells me is that the corner filter is doing a great job of pre-filtering this, and because of that only, I'm not going to add any sort of sponges or anything inside of this. It's going to be all biological. Let's start with the original media that I had in there. And just let that sink. The reason it's important to pre-filter is because if the pores in this get all clogged up, there'll be no place for the bacteria to live, and it would not suit its purpose. Add just a little bit of more to that. That's probably okay. Sink it in there. I'm going to just set up this last one here. Now the Pond Guru will tell you exactly how much of this to use by weight. You guys know I'm real super precise with my measurements and stuff, so I'm just gonna say, that looks good, and go from there. And I think it'll be all right. If anything, it's overkill. And overkill's fine. All right, and this will go in here. This just kind of, up above this on the lid, it's got a little pump that's gonna suck the water back out. And what this does is just kind of keep these things from like floating around and getting up in that impeller and messing up. Just gonna stick it like that. All right, looks all right. Put this back on here. Yeah, even filling up those 2 trays, I had more than enough left for another tray. So I'll save this for later. Slide this back in. When I ordered the Biohome, I also got some for the big tank. They actually sell it in really big dog turd looking chunks. So I got a bag of dog turds for the downstairs tank, and I've added it to the sump too. It is a little bit expensive, so I haven't gotten enough to replace everything that's in the sump. But it actually lasts longer. Like if you look, the life on that's supposed to be about 5 years. And the media that comes with the sump is usually replaced about every, I don't know, 5 or 6 months. So if you look at it that way, it is a little bit better value in the long run. But the stuff I've got, although it's not as maybe as nice as the Biohome, it's still working and it's still pretty decent. So probably what I'll do is, you know, every couple of months when I go to take out one of those trays of media, what I'll do is I'll replace it with some more Biohome dog turd things as I go down through the filter. It's like they're all in racks, and the way Custom Aquarium says to do it is you take the bottom one, which is your oldest media, and you dump it, and then you put new media, and then you put it on top, and then you just keep going down, down, down. So the bottom one is always the one that you replace. I think you could do the opposite of that too, where the top one's always the one you replace, but as long as you're consistent every time, I guess it doesn't matter. I had intended to put some sponges and stuff in here and kind of further pre-filter the water that comes through, but it was so debris free, especially compared to other canister filters I had. The water was just a little bit dirty, but it wasn't like really mucky in there. I mean, I could still see the bottom of the canister. Of course, the canister's pretty new, but I think that this is probably a really effective pre-filter, so I didn't see the need to like add more pre-filters in there. That's all I got today. Thank you for hanging out and watching me work on probably one of my least favorite tanks right now. I haven't given up hope on this tank. I mean, if nothing else, I know I can beat the algae. That algae is goes in these cycles, right? And I've had tanks that were completely, like, I'd given up on them. They're just completely covered in the hair algae, and then they just, like that, the algae's gone. Unfortunately, I don't have like a magic, I don't have a magic answer to make it go away. Otherwise, you know, my tanks would never have any problems, and they'd always look terrific. I think I probably should have added more rocks. I wish the height was a little more. I should have got, this was like the biggest rock they had was the big one in here. And I've never had these particular types of rocks before. Supposedly they look a lot like petrified wood. I probably could have benefited with getting enough to go all the way across, and I still might go back to the shop and get some more. But I got the big fish deal coming up next weekend, and I don't want to spend any extra money just in case there's some stuff I want to bring back. I'm not positive she's going, but as of now, Holly's going with me too to the big fish deal. I'm going to shoot some videos of the event and stuff like that. It's a much smaller event, and I'm going to socialize with my fish keeping friends. I don't have a tank to build there. I actually did intend to try to set up a tank and stuff, but I've felt so lousy, and work's been so intense over the past couple of weeks. I'm just not up to it. I mean, it's a long drive up there alone, but to do that and set up an aquarium and make all the things and do all the things that you have to do to kind of take an aquarium and transport it and then come back with it too, I probably won't be able to do that. But I'll be filming everybody else setting up their tanks, and maybe if somebody needs some help, they'll pull me aside and we can work on it together. I'd be happy to do that. Talking to you, Alex, Mr. Winchell. I know you're going. Well, I guess I gotta go. I really feel terrible. My throat's sore, and I need to just make this video and go rest, so I'm all set for next week. If you want details about the big fish deal, there'll be a link in the description down below. But until next time, follow your bliss, keep a clean tank, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye. Anybody think it was weird that I started this video at Supercuts? I went in there for a quick trim, and for some reason my haircut's kind of difficult, and I applaud them for their thoroughness, but you know, a lot of times they'll team up and try to train the other people how to cut my hair specifically. I had no idea I was so high maintenance.